Hello, today we're going to assemble the Kolpin ATV Switchblade Plow. Step number 1 is to assemble the plow blade supports. I'm doing a 48-inch plow, so I'm going to skip to number 2 on assemble the plow blade. Assemble the plow blade support plates to vertical supports using the M8 fasteners as shown. Leave the fasteners loose, do not tighten. Number 3 is for 68-inch. Number 4, skip to number 4 for 48-inch. Assemble the right blade. Before we get to that, you can see on the right upright support, I've got it aligned wrong for a 60-inch blade, so I have to fix that. I'll zoom in on that here shortly. Like so. Now we're on step number 4. Assemble the right blade, left blade, and middle blade to the blade frame using the M8 fasteners. And again, the instructions recommend you leave all the fasteners loose at this time and do not tighten. Put this one in. Gotcha. While to figure that one out. Number 6 says for 48-inch wide, assemble the blade, plow, frame, bottom support, and wear bars using the M8 fasteners as shown. Leave the fasteners loose at this time, do not tighten. So now we can do this. Number 7 says attach the plow blade hinge pivot plate to the plow blade using M12 hex bolts through the holes in the blade and push frame. Fasten the hinge pivot plate to the blade using M12 hex nuts, tighten nut, and then back out 1/8 to 1/4 turn to allow blade to hinge freely. Bolts should be tight enough to not move, but blade must rotate freely. Number 8 is assemble the blade trip springs and eye bolts between the blade assembly and the pivot spring top brackets. Fasten eye bolts to the frame tab with MX lock nuts onto the eye bolts until 2 to 3 threads show through the locking feature. Number 9 says attach skid shoes to each end of the plow blade frame using M8 fasteners Leave fasteners loose this time. Do not tighten. Oh, I see. There's a cutout in the blade frame for the skid shoe. Owie! Your lock lever. Now we're on step 2. Step 2, number 1 says assemble the pivot lock lever and the lever spring to the lock bracket using M8 fasteners. Notice, tighten the lock nut back out 1/4 turn to 1/2 turn to allow lever to pivot freely. Number 2 says assemble the push tube front pivot support to the blade hinge plate and pivot lever using M8 and M12 fasteners. As shown, tighten the M8 bolt and nut to torque specification. For the M12 bolt nut, tighten, then back out 1/4 to 1/2 turn to allow the pivot lock to move freely. Step number 3, assemble the plow frame. Install the left and right push tube bars on the assembled pivot plate, fasten with M8 carriage bolts and washers and lock nuts. Notice the Kolpin sticker should be positioned on the top right side facing towards the pivot plate. Leave fasteners loose this time, do not tighten. Install the rear attaching bracket onto the assembled push tubes, fasten with M8 hex bolts, washers, and lock nuts. Tighten all push tube fasteners to specification. Install the blade stops and fasten with nuts. Leave fasteners loose this time. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I got the mount bolted onto the frame. Through the skid plate, the front two just went around and through the already existing holes in the skid plate around the frame. The back two, I put these bars like, I mounted the extra pieces like this, and the back two I had to drill a hole, a 10mm hole on the outside. These went through the existing holes in the skid plate, and these went around the frame, and I had to drill a hole for these. And these bolted with 2 bolts to the front part of the skid plate, and